establishing an international digital order to close related gaps and fight fake news to protect human dignity and defend democracy. That's from South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol speaking at New York University's Digital Vision Forum. Meeting U.S. President Joe Biden in Washington, D.C., Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky garners additional military package, but not ATACMS, as he had expected. His visit to the U.S. Capitol comes amid skepticism among some Republicans. It's a big event for billions of sports fans in Asia. Hangzhou Asian Games kickstart tomorrow in China. We go live to the scene to get a glimpse of how things are going there. It's September 22nd, 2023. This is News Center. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Yoon Jung-min. Over in New York, the South Korean leader has revisited the need for an international order to close a digital gap and fight fake news as he wishes the country to take more responsible role on the global stage. President Yoon says those are crucial to protect human dignity and defend democracy. Correspondent Oh Soo-young has our top story.
President Yoon Suk-yeol has declared a digital Bill of Rights in New York and aligned with the United States as a value-based partner in the future of artificial intelligence amid the polarizing impact of digitalization and the global race for technological supremacy. The South Korean leader on Thursday spoke at New York University's Digital Vision Forum for a second straight year, where he set out 5 guiding principles for the so-called New York Initiative to serve as a compass to navigate the era of deepening digitalization.
디지털 격차가 인간의 존엄을 훼손하거나 또 늘어나는 가짜 뉴스가 민주주의와 자유를 위협하지 않을지 걱정의 목소리도 커지고 있습니다. 이처럼 디지털 심화로 나타나는 실존적 위험은 이제 더 이상 미룰 수 없는 시급한 문제입니다. 디지털은 국경이 없고 연결성과 즉시성을 가지고 있습니다. 그러기에 국제적으로 통용되는 보편적 질서가 중요합니다.
The principles call for technology to be developed and used to expand the dignity, value, freedom and rights of individuals rather than reinforce discrimination and prejudice. Yoon said fair access and opportunity for digital use must be guaranteed to create economic and social value while preventing individual harm and the spread of disinformation. He further called for investment in research and development, talent pools and regulatory changes to enable innovation that drives prosperity for humanity. Lastly, Yoon reissued this call made at recent global summits and at the UN General Assembly the previous day for multilateral efforts to close the digital divide between the advanced and developing economies to ensure peace and shared prosperity in the world. The government plans to announce the Bill of Rights and encourage major partner countries and international organizations to adopt the principles. South Korea's push to establish an ethical, rules-based digital order is all the more crucial as major economies vie for influence over global norms and standards, according to Choi Sang-mok, Yoon's senior economic secretary. In that regard, as Seoul expands its value-based cooperation with Washington, Yoon also signed a Memorandum of Understanding with NYU to jointly develop world-class artificial intelligence with 3 Korean institutes. Korea and the US will each invest some $45 billion over 5 years.
The partnership indicates that we have set out the path for cooperation across the entire business process in AI, from human resources training to research and development to market commercialization. In short, the foundation for solidarity in AI has been established between Korea and the US.
Going forward, President Yoon said South Korea will play its part in establishing global digital norms and striving for digital innovation in collaboration with the world to maximize freedom and welfare for all of humanity. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News, New York.
Also in New York, President Yoon's packed diplomatic schedule is nearing its end as he has met dozens of his counterparts on the margins of the UN Assembly. His agenda continued to center on boosting support for Busan's bid to host the World Expo 2030. Kim Do-yeon files this report from the Big Apple.
President Yoon continued his relay of summits in New York on Thursday as he met with leaders one after another in an effort to expand South Korea's diplomatic relations with the world while making sure to request support for Busan's bid to host the World Expo 2030. The list of leaders that Yoon met spanned the continents and economies of all sizes, with at least 10 sit-downs on Thursday alone.
During the United Nations General Assembly, we selected countries from the 189 BIE members to meet that could further enhance cooperation through the Busan Expo.
Yoon kicked off the summits with Ecuador, where he and his counterpart Guillermo Lasso acknowledged the significance of more than 60 years of formal diplomatic ties between the nations. The two countries are also in negotiations for a strategic economic cooperation agreement, and President Yoon shared that he was content that an agreement between the two would be on the way soon. He also met with a fellow UN Security Council non-permanent member for next year, Sierra Leone's leader Julius Maada Bio, and agreed to cooperate in enhancing the shared values of the two countries. In addition, President Yoon invited his Sierra Leone counterpart to the South Korea-Africa Union Summit in Seoul next year. Also significant was Yoon's meeting with the leader of North Macedonia, Stevo Pendarovsky, marking the first time the two countries held a summit after diplomatic relations were formed in 2019. Despite the young diplomatic relationship, the European nation has enjoyed economic ties with South Korea in terms of the automobile industry, and the two leaders agreed to expand relations further. President Yoon also held a lunch meeting with Paraguay's leader, as well as talks with Nepal and Guinea-Bissau. And while the leaders may not have promised votes at the BIE openly, the top office says the meetings should have a positive impact.
While some countries publicly state their positions, the majority approach voting without formal declarations. Therefore, engaging in face-to-face bilateral meetings to openly exchange opinions and mutually understand intentions while deriving cooperative solutions is a highly effective approach.
President Yoon's New York visit comes to a close on Friday, but according to the top office, President Yoon will be meeting with other nations until the very last minute in the same format as he has done this past week to utilize every available second to promote Busan's World Expo bid before the vote at the BIE in November. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News, New York.
In Washington, U.S. President Joe Biden has met his Ukrainian counterpart, Volodymyr Zelensky, and pledged more military aid to help defend the war-torn country from Russia. Zelensky's visit to the U.S. Capitol comes amid skepticism among some Republicans. Our Choi Soo-hyung explains.
U.S. President Joe Biden on Thursday, following his meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky at the White House, announced a $325 million additional military package to Ukraine.
Today, I approved the next tranche of U.S. security assistance to Ukraine, including more artillery, more ammunition, more anti-tank weapons, and
the support package includes various military items like anti-aircraft missiles, shells, anti-tank weapons, cluster munitions, and the Abrams M1 tank. But it excludes the Army Tactical Missile Systems, or ATACMS, which President Zelensky had anticipated due to its range of over 300 kilometers. Ukraine's counter-offensive since June has been hindered by dense Russian defenses, including tank barriers called Dragon's Teeth. And as the war continues, the debate over supporting Ukraine has grown contentious within the U.S. In the U.S., public opinion is cooling over time, and the political response is also gradually becoming divided. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy declined President Zelensky's request for a congressional speech this year, something that Zelensky had asked for during private discussions on the proper use of U.S. weapons.
I've raised issues with them. We're very concerned about accountability. It's to rebuild the supply chain and the weapons for America because we put them in there. I was asking about where we are on the battlefield, different plans, what we're seeing.
However, the White House reiterated its unwavering support to provide additional military assistance.
I know people are talking about how much money and how much is being spent. And what I took away from this whole meeting was what we're investing. We're investing in democracy. And if we don't do it, the rest of the world won't follow, and our allies.
Furthermore, concerns have risen that the absence of ATACMS missiles may push Ukraine to seek even stronger weapons to attack Russian territory, potentially escalating to conflict between the West and Russia. President Zelensky, in his recent speech in Washington, emphasized that without ongoing military and economic support from both the U.S. Senate and House, Ukraine may face defeat. Choi Soo-hyung, Arirang News.
South Korea's Unification Minister has called for stronger cooperation with the U.S. amid rising concerns about a possible weapons deal between North Korea and Russia. Minister Kim Yong-ho met with U.S. Ambassador Philip Goldberg in Seoul on Friday, and when talking about Russia, he pointed out that it's unprecedented for a permanent member of the UN Security Council to invade a neighboring country. Kim stressed that the North is trying to take advantage of the situation and support Russia with weapons. Goldberg also expressed deep concerns about North Korea sending its time and resources on building weapons of mass destruction rather than feeding its people. On the sidelines of the UN General Assembly in New York, South Korea's Foreign Minister Park Jin met with Japan's new Foreign Minister Yoko Kamikawa. Park told his new counterpart that he hopes the two countries can communicate closely to continue to develop their bilateral relationship in a positive way. They also agreed to work on creating a trilateral consultative body involving China with the goal to hold a trilateral summit between their leaders by the end of this year. Kamikawa was appointed as Japan's new foreign minister last week, becoming Japan's first female foreign minister in about 2 decades. The rather unexpected passage of a motion yesterday seeking to arrest the nation's main opposition Democratic Party leader Lee Jae-myung over corruption charges seems to be fueling more division within the DP, with the party's floor leader resigning over the result. Lee, who is facing a warrant review next week, says he will continue fighting. Our political correspondent Kim Jong-sil reports.
A deep sense of regret, resentment, and shock has engulfed the main opposition party after lawmakers on Thursday passed a consent to arrest motion against its leader Lee Jae-myung on corruption allegations. Lee, who is hospitalized following a weeks-long hunger strike to protest the Yoon administration, released a written statement on Friday. He said the Democratic Party must continue to fight the tyranny and regression of Yoon's government to protect the people's livelihood and democracy. Lee added that the DP will continue to work hard and move forward. He did not, however, address the arrest warrant review process scheduled for next week. Experts said due to Lee's deteriorating health, the review could be delayed. If he does make a court appearance, he will be questioned by a judge who will decide whether to issue a warrant. After Thursday's vote, DP floor leader Park Kwang-won and Party Secretary General Cho Jung-sik resigned immediately. During a closed general meeting after the vote, one lawmaker reportedly said they would leave the party, while some admitted to voting in favor of the motion. The 30 or so lawmakers known as the anti-Lee Jae-myung bloc claimed the party leader should keep his promise about facing the prosecution. Back in June, Lee said he would forfeit the privilege from arrest that lawmakers have while the National Assembly is in session. Ruling People Power Party senior spokesperson Yoo Sang-bum said on Friday that this bulletproof political act should be removed, adding the DP leader must humbly submit to the court's judgment. The same day, the opposition announced it would hold an election for a new floor leader next Tuesday. But with lawmakers suffering from feelings of division and betrayal, it will be tough for the next floor leader to unite the party. Kim Jong-sil, Arirang News.
It is a big event for billions of sports fans here in Asia. Hangzhou Asian Games kickstart tomorrow in China. Our correspondent Song Yujin joins us live from that very place. Yujin, you've been there for a few days now. What's it like over there?
You're right. So first of all, good evening, Jongwin, and a big hello from here, Hangzhou, China. Now, it's currently almost 5:20 p.m.ish here in Hangzhou, so it's about an hour later than Korea, and it started raining about a few hours ago, but I can just say that this rain is not enough to dampen the people's spirits towards the Hangzhou Asian Games. So just like you mentioned, our team, we've been here in Hangzhou, China since Wednesday, and ever since then, I can just say that people's excitement and the city's excitement towards the Games has been building up. So here, starting from the airport, from streets, buildings, and even public transportation, you can see that they're all plastered with the Hangzhou Asian Games logo. So people are definitely excited, and the city is excited too. So the Games haven't officially commenced yet because the opening ceremony will take place tomorrow, but some events like modern pentathlon, football, and volleyball have already started their preliminary rounds. So yesterday, around 30 Team Korea athletes who are already in Hangzhou attended a welcoming ceremony at the Asian Games Village. So let's first listen to what Team Korea and also some of the local residents here had to say about the Games.
Our athletes have worked ever so hard to prepare for the Games. I hope they give it their all so that their hard work pays off. I wish those at home give unwavering support to our athletes.
It's definitely not easy to host the Asian Games in Hangzhou, so we're very proud. I hope everyone will come and participate in this wonderful event.
When I heard that the Asian Games is being held in China, I got very excited just by looking at the stadium on my phone. So I wanted to actually come here and take a look at what it's actually like.
So as you can see, everyone is pretty much ready for tomorrow's opening ceremony.
Seems so. Then Eugene, tell us what's special or worth knowing about the Games this time, besides the fact that it was pushed back a year due to COVID concerns.
So first of all, Hangzhou is the third Chinese city to host the Asian Games. The last one took place in the city of Guangzhou in 2010. And what's very interesting is that the number of participating athletes is even greater than the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, about 8,000 more. So according to the Hangzhou Asian Games Organizing Committee, around 12,000 athletes from 45 national Olympic committees are set to take part in the 16-day event. And as for the events, esports and also breakdancing are making their official debuts as medal sports here in Hangzhou. And to talk about the athletes to really look forward to, it's a really tough question for me because there are so many amazing Korean athletes here. But the organizing committee has selected 3 Korean athletes that you want to look out for. So the first is archer Kim Woo-jin, who's currently ranked 2nd in the world and 1st in Asia. He's also the reigning Asian Games individual champion. And second is An Se-young of badminton, the world #1 ranked singles player who won Korea's first women's singles world championship title last month. And last but not least, football player Lee Gang-in, who was the Golden Ball recipient at the 2019 FIFA Under-20 World Cup.
And what more can you tell us about the participation of North Korea?
So that has been definitely garnering a lot of attention. So today, around 20 North Korean athletes attended a welcoming ceremony at the Asian Games Village alongside Brunei, Cambodia, Palestine, Taiwan, and Thailand. And also, according to the organizing committee, North Korea is sending 185 athletes to the Hangzhou Asian Games this time. Now, North Korea's participation is indeed special because this will be the first time that North Korea is taking part in an international multi-sport event since the 2018 Jakarta Asian Games. Now, this was because the International Olympic Committee previously suspended North Korea from participating in any international sporting event after it did not send athletes to the 2020 Tokyo Games, citing concerns over COVID-19. So what this means is that this time, the athletes of 2 Koreas will meet again for the first time in years, potentially athletes like gymnast Yoon, who garnered great attention at the 2016 Rio Olympics after she took a selfie with a North Korean athlete.
I was excited to see North Korean athletes and coaches who I met before at past competitions. When we saw each other, they warmly say hi, so it was a great start to my stay in Hangzhou.
And Eugene, as you just mentioned, we are just one day away from the opening ceremony. What to expect?
So that's the reason why I'm here now, Jungmin. So the opening ceremony, it will take place at the Hangzhou Olympic Center Stadium here. It will start at around 8 p.m. China time, which will be 9 p.m. Korea time. And this is actually the main stadium that the opening ceremony will take place. Now, people here in China call this stadium the Big Lotus because the outer appearance of the stadium resembles a lotus flower. And to talk about Team Korea's participation in the opening ceremony, fencer Gu Bon-gil and swimmer Kim So-young have been announced as the flag bearers of Korea. As for Korea's delegation, we know that Prime Minister Han Duk-soo and Vice Culture Minister Jang Mi-ran, who is also an athlete herself, they are going to attend the opening ceremony. And what's also interesting and fascinating about the opening ceremony is that the Hangzhou Asian Games have announced that it will be the first carbon-neutral Asian Games. So green methanol regenerated from waste carbon will be used as fuel for the main flare tower in the opening ceremony. And we cannot leave out fireworks for an Olympics or Asian Games opening ceremony. This time, instead of physical fireworks, to go green, Hangzhou Asian Games is using digital fireworks, so that will also be quite a spectacle. And I also want to mention that I'll be going to the opening ceremony for tomorrow, so please stay tuned for more news and updates here in Hangzhou. That's all I have for now. Back to you, Jungmin.
All right, looking forward to it. Thank you, Eugene. Also in Hangzhou, South Korea's men's football team picked up a 4-0 win over Thailand on Thursday in what was the team's second Group E match. Led by coach Hwang Sun-hong, Korea scored all 4 goals in the first half and have now qualified for the knockouts with one match still to play. Hong Hyun-seok scored the first goal in the 15th minute and An Jae-jun doubled Korea's lead just 5 minutes later. Ahn Won-sang and Lee Jae-myung added 1 goal each before the halftime interval. South Korea won their first group stage match 9-0 on Tuesday, beating Kuwait. Up next is Bahrain on Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Korea time. BTS member Jungkook has been selected as one of 25 musicians who undeniably dominated the year in music and culture. U.S. entertainment magazine The Hollywood Reporter on Wednesday published its inaugural Platinum Players Power list. The list honors 25 artists from Beyoncé to Taylor Swift who are on top of the charts, move the needle on culture, set records, perform for thousands or millions on tour, and who overall have defined the year in the music industry. Jungkook is the only K-pop artist on the list. Meanwhile, BTS Suga starts his military service today. He will return to the band by the year 2025, along with 2 other members who are performing their obligatory service, J-Hope and Jin. Today, traditional Korean houses, Hanok, have evolved beyond being just residential spaces. And there is a special week in capital Seoul during which you can enjoy the beauty of these houses mingle with the autumn scenery. Our Yoon takes us to the very first Seoul Hanok week.
Korea's traditional houses, or Hanok, invite people beyond their walls, revealing their beautiful appearance. Seoul Metropolitan Government is for the first time hosting a 2023 Seoul Hanok Week from September 18th to the 27th in Bukchon, Seochon, and Inpyeong Hanok Village. The Hanok Week will feature exhibitions, performances, and experiential and educational events that would allow visitors to enjoy the capital's Hanok in different ways.
Seoul's Hanok are considered part of the city's identity and valuable assets that have continued to evolve in response to new demands.
Hanok are not always open to the general public. On the 24th, Open House Hanok is scheduled to offer tours of 9 Hanok.
This house is called Hwigyamje. Built in traditional way, it has a history of more than 120 years in Bukchon Hanok village. It was designated Seoul Folk Culture Property number 14 in March 1977.
Hwigyamje stylistically belongs to the early period following Japanese occupation. It shows how aspects of the Western lifestyle of that time were introduced into a traditional Korean house. Although the underfloor heating, grid-patterned floors, frame, roof, and floral decorations are all of the traditional style. Another Hanok that is open to the public is Yangnyu-dang. This Hanok earned second place in the 2012 National Hanok Competition with its harmonization of traditional values and modern architectural aspects.
These days, when it comes to Hanok, many people tend to think of them as just for Hanok's Day. Here, in addition to accommodation, exhibitions are also held. We've designed spaces where you can both appreciate art and take a break while enjoying the space.
Chitta Pavilion, named after the Korean word for to build, is hosting music concerts on the evenings of September 22nd to the 24th. Passing through the bamboo grove at the entrance, visitors will see a round yard with kudir, which are old floor heating stones.
It's so close to the buzzing city, but when you're inside, it feels a lot quieter, really calm, and there's also the smell of the timber.
Yeah, no, but with the plants, it can create a natural shelter.
Director Kim added that the organizers hope Hanok will become cultural content that transcend time, space, and generations, and something that people from all over the world can seek out and enjoy. Lee Jae-myung, Arirang News.
Seems like we have now abruptly entered the fall season as weather patterns are starting to change. The unseasonable summertime heat has now subsided, and now much breezier spells are in store for this weekend. Cold easterly winds will bring overall temperatures down. Lows will be hovering around 17 to 18 degrees Celsius this weekend. But do keep in mind the big contrast in daily temperatures will follow as well. Make sure to dress in layers to keep your body temperatures warm. In between tomorrow evening and Sunday morning, Gangwon-do province will see light showers. The amount of rainfall won't be too much, with about 5 millimeters in the forecast. Also, violent winds are set to sweep across coastal regions tomorrow. For the south coast and the coastlines of Jeju Island, winds will be gusting as fast as 13 meters per second. Strong winds will be conducive in creating high waves as well. Inland regions will see clear skies for the morning hours. Seoul will be starting off at 17 degrees. Daytime highs in Seoul and Chuncheon will get up to 27, Gwangju 28, Daegu and Gyeongju will be topping out at 26 degrees. Partly cloudy skies will continue to prevail next week, and next Wednesday, central regions will see showers. It's all for now, and here are the weather conditions around the world.
That is News Center for tonight. Thanks for watching. A panel session is coming up.
Welcome. 시간 불이 꺼지지 않는 나라. 감당할 수 있겠니? 하나, 둘, 셋. Hey, Mr. Cupid, make sure you listen to what I say. I may be stupid or quite naive. 끝없이 쏟아지는 포토스팟. 휴대폰 한 대로 감당할 수 있겠니?
Arirang TV is conducting a quality and satisfaction evaluation to enhance the broadcast service for viewers worldwide. Please visit our website www.arirang.com to provide your honest opinions. Participants will be entered into a draw for a chance to win prizes. 2023 Overseas TV Viewer Survey. We look forward to hearing from you.
Loved and watched around the world. We want to make more animations to reach more children. Traveling time and space. Developing adventure and curiosity. Infinite creativity and hope. We want our children to grow up to be happy. Animation, watched by children all around the world. So that joy can be felt when our animation is watched. This is the reason we make animation and share with the world. K-Animation, befriending children all over the world.
Welcome. 엄청난 에너지를 춤으로 뿜어내는 나라. 감당할 수 있겠니? 하나, 둘, 셋.
Hey, Mr. Cupid, make sure you listen to what I say. I may be stupid or quite naive.
끝없이 쏟아지는 포토스팟. 휴대폰 한 대로 감당할 수 있겠니?
Hello everyone, it's Friday and you're watching Within the Frame. I'm Kim Bo-kyung. From conflict to peace, UN peacekeeping plays a key role in helping countries torn by conflict come up with conditions for lasting peace. Reflecting the populations and the need for gender equality, UN has been calling for an expansion of the role and contribution of women in such operations. And so, women have increasingly become part of such an honorable work, making operations more effective. However, there are still much work that needs to be done to have women, peace, and security agenda be better reflected in enhancing women's participation for PKO. Why is it important to have women be involved in such operations, and what measures should further be in place? For more on this, we have invited very special guests. We welcome Ingrid Gerda, Major General and appointed Chief of Staff of the Norwegian Defense. She also served as Commander of the United Nations Peacekeeping Force in Cyprus. General Gerda, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being with us. And we also have Maureen Wellwood, Colonel and Director of Programs at Canadian Forces College. Good to see you, Colonel Wellwood.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being with us. Now, first question to our General Gerda. For those who might not be familiar with the UN's peacekeeping operations, when did this PKO start and what role does it play?
The first peacekeeping operation started in 1948 in Israel after the Arab-Israeli War. Since that, we have had 71 different peacekeeping operations, and for the time being, we have as much as 12 operations ongoing with more than 88,000 peacekeepers acting. And what's special about the peacekeeping operations is that it's proven to be one of the best tools to get the society from conflict to peace. And in particular, due to the three principles: impartiality, it's on consent, so we are invited by the nations, and finally, the non-use of force. Force is only used in self-defense or to defend the mandate.
All right, I see. Thank you for explaining for us what the PKO is. Now, Colonel Wellwood, for more equitable peace, female peacemakers demanded that women have their own voices and came up with the Women, Peace and Security Agenda, or so-called WPS. Could you first explain the concept and its significance in the realm of international peace operations?
Yes, so WPS was essentially the basis of the United Nations Security Council Resolution 1325, which was instated in the year 2000. It recognized that women and girls have a disproportionate impact during conflict, and that they are often targeted. It also recognized that the women play a critical role in sustainable peace. So among the goals of WPS is to increase the presence of women peacekeepers and to incorporate gender perspectives within peacekeeping.
All right, I see. General Gerda, as far as I know, the language of the WPS agenda was able to be advanced as the United Nations Security Council Resolution 1325 was drafted and adopted in October 2000. What was this resolution about, and in what ways was this resolution a landmark for developing the WPS agenda?
It's very much about what we just heard, that women and children are also infected by war and conflict, and maybe even more than earlier. So there was a need for a resolution to handle this. And it is about the importance of having women active in both preventing and handling conflict. So we need a bigger share of women. We need women in leadership roles. We need laws that handle this, and in general, to involve women in preventing and handling conflict and war.
I see. And this resolution 1325 indeed served as a big milestone in your opinion as well, right?
Yes, absolutely. Because we see that to solve conflicts, we have to have a proper understanding of the root causes and how it affects the population. And for that reason, women also have to be part of both assessing the situation and what to do and the actions.
All right, I see. Now, Colonel Wellwood, let's talk about women in peacekeeping operations in more detail. In 1993, women reportedly made up only 1% of deployed uniformed personnel. Could you give us an indication of how many women are currently deployed as uniformed military, police, justice, and corrections personnel, and what do such figures suggest in your opinion?
It's my understanding that the current numbers across the UN are about 6% of peacekeepers are comprised of women. And so we can see that there has definitely been an increase in numbers since what you advanced for 1993, but it's certainly a slow progress that we're seeing. The participation should not only be judged, however, in terms of numbers. We should also consider what kind of participation that women are providing. So it's not just about having more women, but it's about more women in roles of leadership and decision-making that should also contribute to our analysis of this.
Right, I see. Now, General Gerda, based on what our Colonel Wellwood talked about, it's good to hear that we were able to see certain improvement in figures. But as our Colonel already pointed out, the figures still seem to be a little bit low, though figures are not everything. Before we get to the efforts being made to have more women included in peacekeeping operations, let's talk about why there must be more women. First of all, how does female participation contribute to peace negotiations and conflict resolution?
Yeah, UN has done several studies on this, so we have pretty good knowledge, and they also are very similar to my own experiences operating both in UN operations and other operations. There are in particular 3 areas where we see more success with more women in the forces. First of all, enhanced intelligence and situation awareness. Where we have women present, we have a better understanding on the situation on the ground among the local population and the actors. And we also see that women communicate in a different way with women and men and have other perceptions that bring something additional to the table. The second area where we see we succeed better with more women is protection of both civilians and the force. I'm sad to tell that we see examples of sexual abuse, of lots of sad things that is not according to the UN standards in operations. But where we have a bigger proportion of women, we see less of such abuse and exploitations and so on. And the third area is that we see with more women, UN forces have better reputation locally. And that's also vital and probably combined with the 2 other areas. We really need trust to succeed in our operations, and for that reason, a good reputation means a lot, and at least 3 reasons to involve women in the operations, and a bigger share than we see today.
Right, I can definitely see the reason why a woman should be included in peacekeeping operations. Now, sometimes experience and examples could be living evidence, and so I'd like to ask both of our guests to share some examples or own experience of how women have contributed to peace operations. And so, Colonel Wellwood, could you tell us first how women can bring about positive outcomes in conflict-affected regions?
Sure. To answer this, I would bring a specific example that I saw while I was deployed with MONUSCO in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. We had been noticing that there was an increased number of assaults that was occurring on women when they were doing farming. So a lot of times this occurred when the men of the community were away fighting or protecting their families. And the women were left behind and were responsible for bringing in the harvest from the fields. But this left them very vulnerable because the fields were a fair distance from their homes. So MONUSCO was asked to help out in having a better presence and being on the ground to be able to intervene and protect these women who were transiting between their homes and the fields. The important aspect, I think, of women in this was not only that we were providing protection to the women, but that this issue had been raised through the use of engagements with the women population of the different communities. And it had been also discussed with some of the women who were working within civil society, the NGOs, and the UN protection of civilian component to identify this need that would enhance the protection of civilians.
Right, I see. Thank you for sharing the example. Now, General Gerda, could you share your experience as well?
Yeah, we have many practical examples. And I remember when I was a young first lieutenant in Lebanon, we were not allowed to search women, the local women, even if we knew that they were smuggling ammunition and arms, because it would not be appropriate for our male soldiers to search. But I've seen later, both in Middle East and Afghanistan, that we have had women in the forces, which makes us more ready to search both personnel, but also go into compounds to find insurgents and such, and that it calms down the situation where we have women present. For the local women. I also seen, for instance, in Cyprus, with women engaged in the negotiations, we have seen better progress because they see more the needs of the society. And we have also seen then when we involve UN women, the local nations also involve more of their own women. We saw that in Afghanistan, Afghan shuras, Afghan women more involved in handling the way between to peace. So that was both the practical, but also the more examples of women making a difference in the way we communicate with and understand the local population.
Right, I see. I mean, based on what both of our experts told us, we can definitely see how women can contribute to resolving conflict. But Colonel Wellwood, I heard that gender equality within the operations also reportedly contributes to building stronger and inclusive post-conflict societies as well. How is this so?
There are a lot of studies now that show us that the more that women are included in the negotiations for conflict resolution, the better the chances are that the peace will be lasting, and that there are better chances that they will actually be able to find a peaceful solution to an issue. Part of this is because women are often able to cross boundaries of factions. So they will have commonalities among women that don't necessarily aren't restricted by the clan or the community that they belong to. And when they are able to sit down and talk with others, they can find common solutions to things that perhaps are not as easily identified without the women being in the room. So better able to identify solutions that can be applicable to a long-term peace.
All right, I see your point. Now, General Gerda, what more potential benefits and outcomes could there be if more women are deployed in peace operations?
Well, I think Maureen Wellwood stated it clearly. But I think both in understanding the situation better, because we talk to women and see more also the women and children's, how they are affected by the conflict. But I do also think that the diversity makes us percept what also the men engaging in conflict resolution, their expressions and their actions, that with different perspectives, we hear more and can have a better understanding. I think that's the most important part of it. But also that we could be good role models for the local women to build their societies, to build the regimes or the authorities for the future. And again, like just mentioned, this might and probably will make more long-lasting peace solutions.
All right, I see. Diversity is what matters. Now, up until now, we have been talking about potential benefits and positive outcomes that a woman participation in PKO can have. But now let's talk about further efforts that need to be in place to have more women be in the PKO operations. Now, and so, Colonel Wellwood, what measures can governments take to enhance the recruitment, training, and deployment of women in peace operations?
In my opinion, the single most important thing that governments can do is to provide equal opportunities to all genders, to make sure that the women in their national forces have the same training opportunities and employment opportunities as men do. Within the military and outside of the military, I think also contribute to it. The UN itself, I think, has some really good goals and is progressing very well in that manner to provide a safe, inclusive, and respectful environment where women can be employed.
All right, more chances should be given. Now, General Gerda, in a much broader sense, what specific policy recommendations or strategies do you believe should be put in place to further advance the woman, peace, security agenda in the field of peace operations?
I think I'm impressed with what UN already has done. It's put on the agenda. It's one of the top priorities, and it's more and more understood. When that's said, I think it's very much about education. And this is something broader for the societies. We have to build this understanding of the importance in our schools, both in civilian schools, university colleges, in our military schools, and also in pre-deployment training, in training as we are abroad, to understand how this affects the solutions, how having more women present makes a difference and makes us more successful.
Right, I cannot agree more. Now, Colonel Walud, as a last question, I'd like to ask you this. What also matters is support from men, in my opinion, and it is crucial that men promote gender equality and women's participation in peace operations. How could they be encouraged to become allies and advocates for the WPS agenda?
I would say first that there's no reason to exclude women. Women are capable, qualified, and they have a right to serve. But if that isn't enough, then I would say that it's not a question of feminism and advancing the rights of women. It's a question of humanity and achieving peace. And if you're excluding women, then you're excluding 50% of the innovation that the population can provide you. You're excluding 50% of the intelligence gathering capacity that a force could have. You're excluding 50% of the solution. And if we're striving to achieve peace, why would we want to lose out on that?
Right, I cannot agree more. It's very touching how you pointed out that including women is a matter of humanity, not a matter of feminism or any other things. All right, well, unfortunately, this is all the time we have for today's edition. Thank you, Colonel Walud and General Gerda, for your time and insights. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, that's all for Within the Frame tonight. We'll be next Monday with more in-depth stories. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the weekend and goodbye.
안녕하세요. 안녕하세요. 저는 온라인 스마트폰을 쓰는 노출 유튜버 루이입니다. 안녕하세요.
So yeah, Eternity, the world's first ever virtual.
그저 물음 속에